Maybe the hardest part about feeling lost at 30 isn't the uncertainty itself. It's the belief that you're not supposed to feel this way anymore. You look at your life and think, this is not what I imagined it would feel like at this stage. Not necessarily bad, just unfamiliar. Like you're living a version of life you were never properly introduced to. And somewhere around 30, that feeling becomes louder because 30 has been turned into this invisible checkpoint. As if you're supposed to walk into a new decade with clarity, direction, confidence, and a fully defined sense of identity. But what happens when you don't feel any of that? What happens when you're 30 and still don't fully know what you're doing with your life? That's where a lot of people quietly find themselves. Not in crisis, not falling apart, just unsure. And strangely, that kind of uncertainty feels heavier than chaos, because chaos at least feels active, but being lost feels like standing still while everyone else is moving. Hello and welcome to The Honest Space, a place where we slow the noise, clear the mind, and talk honestly about what life is really doing to us beneath the surface. Today we're talking about what it actually means to be 30 and lost. Because most people don't say it out loud. They don't post it, they don't admit it in conversations, but a lot of people are quietly carrying the same feeling. And here's something that might shift how you see it. Being lost is not always about not having direction. Sometimes it's about having too many directions and not knowing which version of you to commit to. Or outgrowing a path you once felt certain about. Or maybe realizing that the life you built doesn't fully match the person you're becoming. And that mismatch creates confusion. Not because you're failing, but because you're changing. And change is not always neat. In fact, most change feels like loss before it feels like growth. You lose certainty, you lose identity labels you used to rely on, you lose the version of yourself that made sense in your previous season. And that can feel like being lost. But here's something people rarely consider. A lot of what we call being found is just familiarity, not clarity. Familiar routines, familiar roles, familiar expectations. So when your life stops being familiar, you assume something is wrong. But what if unfamiliar doesn't mean wrong? What if it just means new? You know? Because if you pay attention, life doesn't usually announce its transitions early or clearly. It doesn't say you are now becoming someone new. It just removes old certainty and leaves you in a space where you have to figure things out again. And that space is what most people describe as being lost. But lost assumes there was a map in the first place. And for most people, there wasn't. There was just expectation, there was comparison, and there was pressure to match timelines that were never personally designed for you. By 25, you should be building something. By 30, you should be stable. By 35, you should be established. And if you're not, it can feel like you missed something. But you didn't miss anything. You're just seeing life without the illusion of certainty now. And that can feel uncomfortable. Because certainty gives people emotional comfort even when it's not real. But uncertainty forces honesty. It forces reflection, it forces you to actually ask, what do I want now? Not what did I want before? And that question is not a sign that you are lost. It's a sign that you are still active in your own life, still participating, still becoming. So if you're 30 and you feel lost right now, you are not broken, you are not behind, you are not disconnected from your path. Let's say you are in a phase where the next version of your life hasn't fully formed yet. And that in-between space is uncomfortable, but it's not empty. It is just shaping you quietly in ways you won't fully understand yet. So take your time, okay? This has been The Honest Space. Until next time, take care of yourself, be patient with your journey, and remember, you don't have to carry every tomorrow today. Just take the next step. Bye.